Hello friends, how are you doing today? So it's Friday. I hope you can have a good weekend. It's GAS-082 and this is a project about Gmail reminder. It's an add-on we can use for Gmail. Okay, so first let me show you the project. This is a request from Derry. So I checked Derry's request and I think this could be a very good example to share with you. So you may have similar issues in your daily work. So if you see this one, you may try this application to solve the problems for you. Okay. So here is the thing. There you want to send a reminder if there is no response for a thread in 3 days. So this is the first reminder to be sent. And the second reminder to be sent in another 2 days. That means in the 5th day, we're going to send the second reminder if there is no response. And the last one in another 1 day. That means the 6th day. So if no response, we send the last reminder and the end of the workflow. So this is a problem. This is a workflow Derry designed. So Derry want to build application in AppScript to handle the Gmail like this. Okay, so to solve this problem, I designed a project to solve problem like this. Okay, here is my design. Let me show you. So this is my design to solve the problems like this. Okay, so let's say we have 3 triggers or 3 reminders for each thread we're trying to follow up. For Derry, it's three reminders to be sent. Okay, so the first one we're going to be sent in 3 days, and the second one should be sent in 5 days. So here should be 5, and the last one should be sent if no response in 6 days. So here should be 6, not 1. All right, here is a flow here. So basically, if you start to follow up a thread, that is a start, and you need to provide some triggers or some reminders for that thread. So like this one, like this example. So following all of these triggers in this list, the script, I'm going to create all the triggers for these reminders. Okay, so basically for each reminder, because we have a daytime here run in hours, so that the script will know when the trigger should be triggered. So by these hours here, and then we also provided a message for that reminder. So we at the start of the process, we create all the triggers for the thread. Okay, so when the first trigger is triggered, that means we can check. So we can check if the thread is replied or not, and we also can check if the trigger is the last one in the list. So if the thread is replied or the trigger is the last one in the list, that means there is no more triggers and the thread is replied. We should end our process. Okay, we're going to delete all the triggers for this thread and the end of the process. Okay, so this is end. And what if the thread is not replied and the trigger is not the last trigger in the list? So we're going to wait for the next trigger. Okay, so for the next trigger, we're going to do the same. Okay, we're going to recheck if the thread is replied or not, and then recheck if the trigger is the last trigger or not. Okay, so we just keep doing the check until we get the thread is replied or the trigger is the last trigger in the list. So this is the main logic for this application. Okay, so it's better to have a picture of this in your head. So for this demonstration, I'd like to draw a flow like this to explain this a little bit easier to you guys. Okay, so basically, if your application is much more complicated than this one, I suggest you to draw something like this. So it will help you to understand and help other people to understand your application. Okay, so let's go to the add-on itself. Okay, so now I am in the Gmail, as you can see, and on the right side, you will have some icons here. So by default, Google provided us some add-ons like calendar add-on, so things like this. But for this one, you will see a reminder add-on here. So after you install my add-on, you should see an icon like this and called reminder. So if you click on this reminder, it should bring you to the home page. Okay, we have 3 pages in this application. We have a home page, and we have a thread page for each thread you're following, and we have a settings page for the settings. Okay, so right now we are in the home page, and in the home page you have some summarize about your follow-ups. As you can see, I have 5 follow-ups, and all of them are closed. So as you can see here, I have A, B, C, D, E, 5 tests. I did it before this video, so I run some tests here, there, and as you can see, all of them are closed. So if I pick one of them here, I should see. So right now we are in the thread view. Okay, so in the thread view, you have some information about this thread. So the status of this thread is closed because we don't have any open reminders to be sent, so it's closed. And you have some information about the thread, and you also have the detailed information about the reminders which were sent. As you can see, the time, day and time, and the message to be sent. So if you check the message here, so this is test A, and this is the reminder which was sent. This is the last reminder. Okay, so this is a read view, or this is a thread view, because this is a closed one, and you will have a read view like this, and you cannot edit the datetime here because the reminder was sent already, so you cannot edit anymore. And you have only one option here to delete this record here, because this follow-up is already closed and it's saved to the backend, so you can see some record here. But if you don't need to keep the record, you can delete it here. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. Now 5 of them. So let me show you how to create a new follow-up. So first of all, you need to go to your sent, maybe the sent label here, sent. So here I have 2 test email here, which I sent it before this video. As you can see, I have test F. So from my Gmail account to my Outlook account. Okay, so if you choose a message like this, if you choose G, so this page will be refreshed, and I'm going to grab the information about this test G. So if you choose test F, it bring you to the information about this test F. So for this one, you can edit the reminder here. Okay, so let's say I'd like to add 2 reminders. So I click this button here. This brings me. Okay, so let's change the date first. For the time, right now is 27. So let's change it to 28 and 29, so we can see the result very quickly. and create the follow-up. So now, as you can see here, the follow-up is set up, and the status was changed. The following, and we have 2 open, 0 closed. What's the time now? It's 27. So if it's 28, we should see 1 reminder is open and 1 reminder is closed. It's weird, I cannot see the time here. 27. So basically, this is set up for this thread, and if it's created and this one is not closed, you have options to update your reminders here. So as you can see, you have a reminder here to update. So now it's 28. So if I refresh this page, as you can see, I have 1 open and 1 closed. And for this closed one, I cannot edit. So for this one, as you can see, this is a reminder which was sent 28, right? And we have open here 29. Right now it's 28, it's not 29. So we need to wait a little bit for the last reminder to be sent. Okay, so basically, let me check. So now it's 29. Let me refresh this page. It's still open. That means it's not triggered. And refresh it again. Still open. Okay, as you can see here, I have 2 reminders. Okay, this one was sent 29 at 29, 6:29, and let me try to refresh this page. I should have a closed follow-up reminder, follow-up thread here, open 0 and close 2. Okay, so now it's closed. Okay, so I have follow. If I refresh this page here, I have 6 closed message here. Okay, so this is the demo for you to create a new follow-up. And here, let me show you the settings. So for the settings, the first setting, the general for this general section here, you have 3 options here. So the first one is a label setup. So if you check here, as you can see, for each follow-up thread, I applied a following label to this thread. So you can check. If you check the following, you have all the thread you're following. Okay, so A, B, C, D, E, F. So 6 of them they are following, but all of them are closed. So this is a label. The first is about the label, and the second one is default reminder message, because in the setup, so just in case you didn't provide a reminder message, and this one will be used. Okay, and this one is a option for you to, so you need to choose if you need to delete all of these closed follow-ups. So if you want to delete all of them, you can keep this on. So if you want to keep a record of all of your follow-ups, which is open or closed, you can turn this off. Okay, so this is delete after completed. And this section here is very important. So by default, you will have 1 reminder by default. Okay, so if you remember Derry, the request. So for Derry, he have 3 reminders. So by default, this is a default setup for Derry. The first reminder in 3 days, the second one in 5 days, and the last one in 6 days. So this is a request from Derry. So he can do the settings like this. So this is the first setup in 3 days, which is 72. So this is the first reminder, and we can add 2 more, add 1 more. Okay, so this is the first reminder. This is the second. Sorry, so running in hours. So 5 days. 5 days, that means 24. I multiply 5. That is 120. Okay, and this is the second reminder. The last one is 120 plus 1 day, 24, 144, I think. And this is the last reminder. So this is the setup for Derry. So based on your requirement, you can do the setup like this. And if you click on this save button, we're going to set up this default setup. Okay. So now the settings have been saved. And if I choose another, let's try to choose this one. So by default, I should have 3 reminders here to be created for this follow-up. So, which is exactly the same setup for Derry. So as you can see, right now today is August 13. Okay, so 3 days, in 3 days, which is 16, and in 5 days, which is 18, and in 6 days, which is 19. Okay, so this is the setup, default setup. So if you create the create follow-up, you should have the setup for Derry's request. Okay, now is created, and if I go back to the homepage, so I have 6 closed and 1 following. Okay, so this is the main functionality of this application, as you can see. So at the backend in the script, so this is the project. This is the project you're going to use if you're trying to use this add-on. And if you check the triggers, you should see 3 triggers for this test G, because all of these are closed, so the triggers for them are all deleted. And for this one, if you check the triggers here, you will see this trigger. So we're going to check the Gmail thread function. So when this date, at this date and time, you can see 16th. So this is the first one, and the 18th, and the last one is 19th. So this is the trigger at the backend to check the thread if the thread is replied or not. Okay. So every time you create a new follow-up, some triggers are going to be created, just like I said in the flow here. So basically, you created a follow-up. I'm going to create all the triggers according to the reminders you set up. Okay, so I'm going to create the triggers at the backend, and when the trigger is triggered at a date and time, I'm going to check if the thread is replied or not. So basically, it's in this function, it's in this check Gmail thread function. Okay, so this is the function to check the thread is replied or not. Okay, so if you check here, you should be able to see this function, I think. Check Gmail thread. So this is the function to check the Gmail thread. Okay. So this is how we do it, how we translate this flow to our application. Basically, this is the home, this is the structure, okay, the main structure. But if you'd like to know more details about this project, you need to go to these files, because here I have for each view, especially for home view, for thread view, and for the settings view, I'm going to have separate files to handle all of these operations here, okay, for the front end stuff and back end stuff, all of this UI stuff, okay. So to use this add-on, you need to make a copy of this file to your Google Drive, okay. So that's the first step you need to do. And the next step, you need to do some change for the time zone here. So I'm in China, so the time zone is Asia, Shanghai. If you are not in this time zone, you need to update this time zone here. And if you cannot see this file here, appscript.json, you need to go to that settings and make sure this is checked, okay? After you change the time zone, you can deploy. So basically click on this deploy button and try test deployments. So for me, I already installed the add-on, so I cannot install it again. So if I try to uninstall this add-on, now you should see this install button here. So for you, if you click on this install button, it will bring you a pop-up page like this, and it should ask you for the authorization, okay? So just complete the authorization process, and you should be able to see this button uninstall here. That means the add-on is set up for a Gmail account, okay? Just simple like this. And if you see the Gmail here and the uninstall button here, and you can go to your Gmail and refresh your Gmail, and you should be able to see the add-on is loaded to your Gmail. Okay, just simple like that, I think. So anything else? I don't know. So I think that's it. I'd like to share in this video. So if you have some questions about the code, you can leave me a comment. All right. I think a lot of code here, especially for this red one. Okay, because I didn't explain the details about how to build all of these interfaces or some interactions between each pages, okay? So I'm not sure if you need to know it, but for some of you, maybe you need to, if you try to create something similar like this, maybe you can find something useful in my code, okay? So that's it for this video, and I hope you have a very good weekend. Bye-bye, see you next time.